On November 12th and 13th, there was a fresh influx of refugees from Myanmar into Mizoram. The influx was triggered by fighting in the Chin state. The town's name is Rekwadwar, and the Chin Defense Force, which is an ethnic armed group in Myanmar, was fighting the Myanmar army for control of the town. And this is why about 5,000 people fled from Rekwadwar to Mizoram, to the opposite town of Zorkothwar. The two towns are separated by a river. It's called the River Tuau, and there's not much distance between these two towns. In fact, people come and go all the time under an agreement between the two countries. But this time, the reason for such a large influx within 24 hours was because of the fighting in Myanmar. Why is the Chin Defense Force fighting the Myanmar army? The Chin Defense Force has a long history of rebelling against the Myanmar state, and it is not the only ethnic armed group in Myanmar. There are at least 18 to 20 ethnic armed organizations, and they are spread across the entire border areas of Myanmar from the west to the east and the north. So Chin Defense Force is one such group. But the fighting has intensified since February 2021, when the Myanmar military seized power in a coup. And since then, there has been an armed public uprising across Myanmar amongst all ethnic communities, among the majority Bamar, among the ethnic groups in the border areas, and across the country. There has been a huge movement to thwart the military and military's takeover of Myanmar. And the Chin Defense Force has joined this uprising. Many other ethnic armed organizations have not joined, or they are walking a tightrope. Sometimes they are on the side of the pro-democracy uprising. Sometimes they are not. But in the case of the Chin Defense Force has joined hands with the uprising, what is called the People's Defense Force. Now, the People's Defense Force, these are armed people's groups that are spread across the length and breadth of Myanmar, and they have said that they owe allegiance to the National Unity Government, which is the parallel government of democratically elected representatives of Myanmar. What is the affinity of the Chin people with Mizoram? In Mizoram too, the majority population is of the Chin tribe or related tribes. Now, the Chin and Kuki and Zo tribes they all come under a broad umbrella of interrelated tribal subgroups, and this is why when the Chin refugees first started coming in 2021, when the coup took place, and they wanted to escape the military or the military's takeover of Myanmar, Mizoram rolled out the red carpet, even though the central government was very insistent that they should not be allowed to enter Myanmar. Still, Mizoram said, and the Mizoram chief minister said that these are our people and we cannot refuse entry to them. So there is already a large community of Chin refugees from Myanmar living in Mizoram. There are about 50,000 such people, or at least more than 40,000, and they have been living there, and their children are going to school there, and the Mizoram government is looking after them. How is India affected by the fighting? The fighting has affected India in the sense that because the Chin state is so close to the Indian state of Myanmar, it shares the border. Whatever happens in Chin state has always had a spillover in Mizoram. And it is because of this that we saw earlier this year when the Myanmar army bombed the Chin Defense Forces headquarters. It's called Camp Victoria, and it is bang on the border. Victoria adjoins the Champai district in Mizoram, and it's very close to the Tiao River. A shell from Myanmar military's bombardment fell inside India, and it actually ended up destroying a vehicle, and people who were in that area had to flee to safer areas in Mizoram. So in that sense, the fighting has directly affected India and the people of Mizoram. Also, as I said before, there are so many refugees, tens of thousands of refugees from Myanmar living in Mizoram, and in the latest round of fighting, there has been another influx of refugees. The fighting and the coup have directly affected Mizoram in this way. And in another sense, which is that India has several large infrastructure projects that have been going on for a long time. India has not been able to complete those projects for several years now. But at this moment, because of the unrest in Myanmar and the escalation in the fighting, both in the Chin state and in the Rakhine state, as well as in the Sagaing region, these infrastructure projects, which are all either they pass through these areas or they are located in these areas, they are going to be set back. And their deadlines are going to be pushed further. So has India taken a side in this battle between pro-democracy forces and the military government? No, the world's largest democracy has not taken a side on this issue. And it has, however, conveyed, signaled by word and deed that it will continue to do business with Myanmar, even if there is a military government in place now, a military government that has seized power illegally. And the reasoning for this is that India always supports the party in power at the center. And in this case, it's the military, and it has to do business with the military for its own reasons. What are these reasons? The reasons that India cites very frequently is that the Myanmar military is very essential to its security plan for the Northeast, to secure the borders of the Northeast, to ensure that there are no safe havens for Northeast insurgent groups, terrorist groups on the Myanmar side. The other reasoning is, of course, the fear of China, that Myanmar will be taken over by China if India vacates whatever space it has at the moment there. And the third reason is that India has several infrastructure projects going on there, and it cannot abandon those projects. Abandoning those projects will send a very bad signal. And again, of course, China has its own infrastructure projects. On all these counts, though, the fact that this military government in Myanmar has had many military governments, but this one has proved to be exceptionally fragile, unable to establish control over the country because of the sheer strength of the pro-democracy forces who now control vast swaths of the country. Therefore, India's infrastructure projects can't really move ahead, and at this point, as I said earlier, they are really stuck. Secondly, on the security front, it has come to light that several militant groups which are banned in India are active on the Myanmar side, and that the Myanmar side and the Myanmar army is even using these groups to fight the PDFs, the People's Defense Forces, or the pro-democracy armed groups. So the northeastern militant groups, some of them, like the People's Liberation Army, these are actually fighting alongside the Myanmar army against the pro-democracy forces. For this reason, the Myanmar army is arming them, it has given them money, and it has given them resources, so they are actually becoming stronger on the other side. Third reason is, of course, that India is a democracy, so it has to actually increase its engagement with those that stand for democracy in Myanmar. And India will have to take a call on this very soon, because it seems that the control of the Myanmar military over the country is slipping. And this was evident in the loss of the Shan state to the people's to a coalition of ethnic armed organizations. They wrested Shan state from the Myanmar military, and which has seriously created doubts even in China about the capacity of the Myanmar military to establish control over the country. The Shan state borders China, and it has been an embarrassing setback for the Myanmar military.